Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. My name is Mary Paula, and in today's video I'll be using these two shades of pink yarn to make my two colored corset top. So I'll be using two strands of this yarn to make my stitches bolder because each of the strand is quite tiny, and I'm also going to be using a size 3.5mm hook. So for this project I'll be working two separate identical panels. So I'm going to work on this middle part first, then the upper part, the lower part that has this slanted thing by the side, and then I'll work on the back. Then I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the two panels together. So this is just one of the panels. And first off, I'm going to be working on this bra cup part. So for this part, I'm just going to get my bust measurements and divide it by 4. So my bust measurement is 36, and 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that means I'm going to be working my cup for 9 inches. So I'm going to work this part until it measures 9 inches when stretched. So get your bust measurement and divide it by 4 for this, and whatever measurement you get is what you're going to be using to work the bra cup part for yourself. So to begin, I'm going to make a slip knot. So this is just a way of attaching my yarn to the hook. So make slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm making 4 chains because I'm working on a size small. If you're medium size, start with 6 chains, and if you're big, start with 8 chains. Then I'm going to add 1 extra chain, and for row 1 I'm going to skip that extra chain that I just added, and into the next chain I'm going to place 1 half double crochet stitch. And then into the next chain I'm going to make 1 half double crochet stitch, and the remaining 2 chains also get 1 half double crochet stitch each. So 1 half double crochet stitch into this one, and into the last one a half double crochet stitch. So for this row 1 I have 4 half double crochet stitches. For row 2 I'm going to chain 1, turn the project, and for this row 2 I'm going to be making increases. So I'm going to make 2 half double crochet stitches into the first and into the last stitch. So the first half double crochet stitch, and into that same place, to that same space, I'm going to make another half double crochet stitch. Then the next 2 stitches gets 1 half double crochet stitch each. So into the next stitch 1 half double crochet stitch, and into the next one 1 half double crochet stitch, and then into the last stitch I'm going to place 2 half double crochet stitches. So that's how I'll be making the increases for this project. So now I should have 6 half double crochet stitches for the row 2. Then I'm going to chain 1 and begin the row 3. And for the row 3 I'm not making any increases. I'm just going to place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So each of the stitch gets just 1 half double crochet stitch. We're not making any increases for the row 3. For this row I'll have 6 half double crochet stitches. For row 4, chain 1, turn the project, and I'm going to be making increases into the first and the last stitch. So my first half double crochet stitch there, and another one into the first stitch. Then the middle stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last stitch where I'm going to place 2 half double crochet stitches. And when I'm done with this row 4, I will have 8 half double crochet stitches. So I've gotten to the last stitch, and I'm just going to place 2 half double crochet stitches into that very last stitch. Then for row 5, I'm going to chain 1, turn the project, and place 1 half double crochet stitches into all of the stitches. So for this row, we're not making any increase. I'm just going to place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. And for this row, I'm also going to have 8 half double crochet stitches because I did not make any increase. So every stitch in this row gets 1 half double crochet stitch. For row 6, I'm going to chain 1, turn the project, and I'm going to be making increases into the very first stitch and into the last stitch. So into the first stitch, I'm going to make 2 half double crochet stitch, and into the next stitch, I'm going to make 1 half double crochet stitch, and all the way until I get to the last stitch where I'm going to place 2 half double crochet stitches. So the middle stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch each, and then the first and the last stitch gets 2. So I am at the last stitch now, and I'm just going to go ahead and place my 2 half double crochet stitches into the last stitch. So the second one. Then for the row 7, I'm going to chain 1, turn the project, and place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So all of the stitches in this row get just 1 half double crochet stitch, no increase. So I'm not making any increase for this row 7. I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet stitches from the beginning all the way to the last. So into the last stitch, I'm just going to place my 1 half double crochet stitch. For row 8, chain 1, turn the project, and I'm going to be making increases at the beginning and at the end for this row. So 2 half double crochet stitches into the first stitch. The remaining stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch until I get to the last stitch where I am going to place 2 half double crochet stitches in. So I am at the last stitch now, and I'm just going to go ahead and place 2 half double crochet stitches into that very last stitch. So for row 9, chain 1 and place 1 half double crochet stitches into all of the stitches without making any increase. So row 9 does not get any increase at the beginning and at the end, just 1 half double. So just 1 half double crochet stitch in all of the stitches all the way until I get to the last stitch. No increase. Alright, so for row 10, chain 1, turn the project, and I'm going to be making increases at the beginning. So the very first stitch gets 2 half double crochet stitches. The middle stitches get just 1 half double crochet stitch until I get to the last stitch where I am going to place 2 half double crochet stitches. So row 10 gets an increase, which is 2 half double crochet stitches into the first stitch and into the last stitch. So I've gotten to the last stitch now, and I'm just going to place 2 half double crochet stitches into that very last stitch. So after working 10 rows, my project measures about 4 inches, and then this is stretchy, so there's always room for allowance. Alright, so if you're working this for a size medium, make sure to add 2 extra rows, and if you're working this for a size big, add 4 extra rows. So I'm stopping here at row 10, and I'm just going to continue with the row 11. So for row 11, I'm just going to chain 1. So chain 1, turn the project, and place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So for row 11, we are not making any increases at the beginning and at the end. So every stitch in this row gets just 1 half double crochet stitch. So if you are working a size medium, you should know that the next row you're going to make would get an increase. And if you're working for a size big, you know that the next row gets an increase, the following row doesn't get any increase, and then the next other row gets an increase. So you just follow the pattern until you get to the number of rows that you would want for this project. For the row 12, we're going to be working decreases at the beginning and at the end of the row. So chain 1, turn the project, go into the very first stitch, drag a loop from behind, yarn over, go into the next stitch, drag a loop from behind. So you'd have 4 loops on the hook. Then you're just going to yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops you have on the hook. So we've just worked 2 stitches together. Then the following rows get 1 half double crochet stitch each until we get to the last 2 stitches where we're going to work another decrease. So I'm just going to go ahead and place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches, the middle stitches, until I get to the last 2. So I am at the last 2, so you see I have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to make a reduction with those 2 stitches. So yarn over, go into the second to the last stitch, drag a loop from behind, then go into the last stitch, drag a loop from behind. So now you'd have 4 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops, then chain 1. So for this row you'd have 2 stitches less from the previous row. So always make sure to count. So you have 2 stitches less because we've just made reductions at the beginning and at the end. So for row 13, I'm just going to place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So I'm not making any decrease for this row. I'm just going to place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So it's just like we did the increase row, where one row gets an increase and the next row doesn't get any increase. That is just how this row is also going to be. So I just did my decrease for row 12, and row 13 gets 1 half double crochet stitch in all of the stitches without making any decrease. So for row 14, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm also going to be making decreases at the beginning and at the end. So go into the very first stitch, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, go into the next stitch, grab a loop from behind. So you'd have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops. Then the next stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last 2, where I'm going to be making another decrease. So 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last 2 stitches. So I am at the last 2 stitch now, and I'm going to yarn over, go into the second to the last one, drag a loop from behind, go into the last stitch, drag a loop from behind. So I have 4 loops. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops. So I've just worked my decrease into the last 2 stitches. For the next row, row 15, I'm just going to chain 1, turn the project, and place 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches from the previous row. So this row doesn't get any increase at the beginning or at the end. Just 1 half double crochet stitches into just 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches from the previous row. Alright, so this is what the bra cup is looking like. We're almost done, and this is 15 rows, so I've worked this for 15 rows. And for the next row, row 16, I'm going to chain 1, turn the project, and I'll be working decreases at the beginning and at the end of this row. So just work your decrease the way I've done for the last 2 rows. So going to the first stitch, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, go into the next stitch, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, and pull through all the loops you have on the hook. Then you're just going to work 1/2 double crochet stitch into the next stitches until you get to 2 stitches left. Then into the last 2 stitches you're going to work a reduction again. So 2 stitches left, yarn over, go into the second to the last stitch, grab a loop from behind, go into the last stitch now, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 1, turn the project around, and for row 17 I'm just going to place 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So I'm not making any reductions in this row. Each stitch in this row gets 1/2 double crochet stitch. Chain 1, and I'm ready to start working my row 18. So I'm just going to turn the project, and I'll be working reductions, so decreases at the beginning and at the end of the row 18 as well. So that's my first decrease into the first 2 stitches. Then the next stitches get 1/2 double crochet stitch each until I have 2 stitches left where I'm going to make another decrease. So for row 19, chain 1 and make 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So no reduction for this row, just 1/2 double crochet stitch until I get to the end. For row 20, chain 1, and I'll be making decreases at the beginning and at the end of this row. So the middle stitches get 1/2 double crochet stitch, and into the last 2 stitches I'll make a decrease, chain 1. So I'm done with the cup now, and the last row, this 20th row, has 4 stitches, and this is just to match with the 4 stitches that I made from the beginning. So my first row has 4 stitches and the last row has 4 stitches. So just make sure to finish with the same number of stitches that you started with, and remember that if you did this for a size medium, you should have 24 rows, and if you did this for a size big, you should have 28 rows. So my cup measures 9 inches when stretched, 9 inches, and this is because there's room for allowance and I do not want to make it big, so that's why I measured it while stretched. So next I'm going to start working on this top part. So for this row, I'm going to be alternating between 1/2 double crochet stitch and 2/2 double crochet stitch. So into the first row there, I'm going to place 1/2 double crochet stitch, and into the next row I am going to place 2/2 double crochet stitch. So the first one and again the second one. Then I'll move to the next row and place 1/2 double crochet stitch into that row, and into the next row, so 1/2 double crochet stitch into that row, and then into the next row 2/2 double crochet stitch. So I'm just working by the side like this, placing half double crochet stitches into the rows this way. So I'm alternating between 1/2 double crochet stitch and 2/2 double crochet stitches. So one row gets 1/2 double crochet stitch and the next row gets 2/2 double crochet stitches. So I'm just going to keep alternating this way until I get to the end. So continue like this until you get to the end, and I will come back to tell you what to do next. So just keep placing 1/2 double crochet stitch into one row, and then the next row gets 2/2 double crochet stitches, the next row gets 1/2 double crochet stitch, and the next row gets 2/2 double crochet stitches. You're just going to continue in this pattern until you get to the last row, so until you get to the other side. So continue, and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So I'm towards the end now, and I'm going to finish with placing 2 half double crochet stitch into the very last row there, and this is what it looks like. For the next row, I'm going to be working reductions at the beginning and at the end. So I'm just going to chain 1, turn the project. I'm going to go into the very first stitch. So into the very first stitch, I'm going to insert my hook, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab a loop from behind, and yarn over and pull through all the loops. So that's my first reduction. And then for the remaining stitches, I'm going to place 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last 2 stitches. So the next stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last 2 stitch, where I am going to make another decrease. So guys, please take note that when I say reduction and decrease, it means basically the same thing. So I have 2 stitches left now, and I'm going to make a decrease, which is also a reduction. So yarn over, insert your hook into the second to the last stitch, grab a loop from behind, insert into the last, grab a loop from behind, yarn over and pull through all the loops you have on the hook, then chain 1 and turn the project. So for this next row, I'm just going to make 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches. So I'm not making reductions and I'm not making increases. I am just going to make 1 half double crochet stitches, 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitch from the beginning all the way to the last stitch. So nothing special going on here, just each stitch gets 1 half double crochet stitch. So each stitch from the previous row gets just 1 half double crochet stitch until I get to the end. So I have gotten to the last stitch, and that stitch just gets 1 half double crochet stitch. So this is what it looks like. For the next row, I'm going to be working a decrease in the beginning and at the end. So insert your hook, grab a loop from behind, yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop from behind, yarn over and pull through all the loops. Then the remaining stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch. So the next stitches get 1 half double crochet stitch each until I get to the last 2 stitches. So I'm just going to continue placing 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches until I get to the last 2 stitches, yarn over into the second to the last, insert the hook, grab a loop from behind, then go into the last one, grab a loop from behind. It's a bit of a struggle. So into the last stitch, grab a loop from behind, then yarn over and pull through all the loops you have on the hook, chain 1, and then I'm done with this part. So I'm done with this part now, and I just cut, and I'm just sewing in the tail end into the stitches for a clean finish. Alright, so when I'm done working this part, this is when I'll have to start working this down part. So this is what I have now. So this is what we have done now, and then I'm going to start working the down part now. So I'll come to this part, insert my hook, then I'm going to work 1 half double crochet stitch into all of the rows. So I'm just going to insert my hook, pick my yarn, insert it into the very last row there, chain 1, then into that same place I chained 1, I'm going to make 1 half double crochet stitch, and then I'm just going to keep working 1 half double crochet stitch all the way into each of the rows until I get to the last row. So because I have 20 rows when I did my cup, it means that since I am placing 1 half double crochet stitch into each of the rows, at the end of this part I am going to have 20 half double crochet stitches. So just keep placing one half double crochet stitch into the rows just like I am doing until you get to the end. So continue like this until you get to the end, and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So one half double crochet stitch from the beginning all across to the other side. So I have gotten to the other end now, and I'm just going to place my one last half double crochet stitch into that part. Alright, so see, this is what it's looking like. So let's call this part we just worked now the row 1 for the body part. And for the next row, I'm just going to chain 1, and I'm going to place one half double crochet stitch into all of the half double crochet stitches that we already made. So I have 20 stitches in the very first row. So let's say that's the first row for this part. I had 20 half double crochet stitch, and for this second row now I'm also going to have 20 half double crochet stitches, and this part I'm going to work it for 15 rows. So this is the row 2 that I am working now. I'm going to repeat this for 13 more rows. So see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to repeat this part for 13 more rows. Alright, so I'm just going to do this part 15 times, so 15 rows, and this is my third row now. So I'm just going to place my last half double crochet stitch. So remember this part, we're just going to be making rows of half double crochet stitches, no increases or decreases until I get to the 15th row. So continue like this until you have 15 rows, and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So I have 15 rows now. This is me just counting to let you know. And this is the part where I'm going to start making reductions on one side. So on one side of our top, I'm going to be making reductions to give you this slanty corset kind of look. So I'm going to start making the reductions on my 16th row. So this is my 16th row now, and I'm just going to work one half double crochet stitch in all of the stitches until I get to where I have 2 stitches left. Alright, so I have 2 stitches left, and I'm just going to place a decrease stitch into the last 2 stitches. So I'm just going to make the decrease just the exact same way I've been making before. Then I'm going to chain 1 and continue. So I'm going to be making decreases on that end every time. I'm sorry, my hand is out of frame, but I'm going to be making decreases on that side. So this is how my work is placed, and I'm just going to turn, and I'm going to make a decrease. So I'm starting this row again with a decrease stitch. So for the row 17, I'm going to make a decrease into the first 2 stitches. So this is my decrease stitch. I place it into the first 2 just the way we've been making decreases. Then I'm just going to go ahead and place one half double crochet stitch into all of the stitches until I get to the end. So we're only going to be making this decrease on one end of the top. So this is the row 17 that I've just made my decrease now, and I'm just going to continue like that. At the very end, one end, I'm going to be making decreases. And so I have come to the end of the row 17. So see how at this end I did not make any decrease. I just chained 1 and I'm going to continue with the row 18. So I'm just going to work row 18 until I get to the end, where I'll have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to make a decrease. So for the row 18, I'm making a decrease at the end of the row. So I am at the end of the row now, and I'm just going to make my decrease stitch into the last 2 stitches. Then I'm going to chain 1. And for the next row, which is row 19, I am going to start with a decrease. So decrease into the first 2 stitches, and then work my way, just work 1/2 double crochet stitch until I get to the end. So just what this means is, since I have started the row 19 with a decrease at this end, I'm going to just work my single crochet stitch after making the decrease all the way to the last stitch. Then when I start the row 20, I'm going to have to make a decrease at the end of the row 20. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So I just finished row 19 and I finished at the end where I did a decrease. And for row 20, I'm just going to turn my work, start working my 1/2 double crochet stitches all the way until I get to the last 2 stitches where I'm going to place a decrease. So this is the row 20, and I'm going to place a decrease into the last two stitches for the row 20. Chain 1. So for row 19, I am going to start with a decrease. Do you get it now? So I'm just going to keep working like this until I get to the length where I think it's cool enough for my top. So I just finished the row 19, chain 1, and I'm going to start row 20, and I'm going to make a decrease at the end when I start the row 20. And for row 21, I'll start with making a decrease. So just continue this way until I got to this length. So I have a total of 24 rows for this part, and I repeated that decrease part for 9 rows. And remember, I already had 15 rows before, so I did this for 24 rows. So I did 15 rows, stopped there, and then I started making decreases on the 16th row on one side, and then I did this for 9 rows until I got to this length, and I think my reduction is okay for this length. Alright, so as you can see, we're almost done with the other panel. I'm going to work this other part now that is going to fold to the back. So I'm just going to finish off this part now by just cutting it and sewing in the loose tail. Alright, so I have to start working on this side that goes to the back, and I'm going to start from the 15th row of those rows of the 1/2 double crochet stitches that I made. So the 15th row there where I started making the decrease, just before I started making the decrease, that is the 15th row, and that is where I'm going to start placing the other part from. So I'm just checking it to make sure that I'm working on the right side for this part. So make sure to work on the right side. You can just tell, I think the part that doesn't have so much wiggle I don't know how to describe it. There's that weave like thing, that part is the wrong part, and then the part that just looks clean, like it's the right part. So I'm starting from my row 15, and I'm just going to insert my yarn, chain 1, and then I'm going to make 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of the rows. So 1/2 double crochet stitch there. So I did a 1/2 double crochet stitch right into where my chain 1 is coming from, right into where I attached my yarn. So into that row I placed 1/2 double crochet stitch, into the next row 1/2 double crochet stitch, and I'm just going to go ahead and place 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of the rows until I get to the last. So until I get to the end, to the top, to the very top of our top. Alright, so just continue placing 1/2 double crochet stitch in each of these rows. So I have 15 half double crochet stitches now, because I placed into the 15 rows that I did down there. Then I'm just going to come to this place and start placing my half double crochet stitch into these stitches. So I have 4 stitches. Remember the 4 stitches I have for this bra cup part. I'm going to also place 1/2 double crochet stitch into that part. Then these other 4 rows that we did in the top part, I'll place 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of them. So let's call this the row 1 of the side that goes to the back, and at the end of this row I have 23 half double crochet stitches. So for the next row I'm just going to chain 1 and place 1/2 double crochet stitch into all of the 23 half double crochet stitches that I have from the first row of this part that goes to the back. And I'm just going to repeat these rows for as many times that I want, that I feel covers all the way to my back. So this part is totally dependent on you, on how far you want it to go. So I did this part for a total of 13 rows. So 13 rows is just fine for me. You can do for more or less rows. So for this part, we're just going to be repeating rows of half double crochet stitches. So continue working your rows of half double crochet stitches until you get to the length that you want. Alright, so this is mine and I did this for 13 rows. So this is the part where I'm going to attach the both panels together. So make sure you have 2 panels, guys. You're going to make another one of the exact same thing I just showed you how to do, and I'm going to be attaching on the wrong side. So I'm going to make my slip knot, and I'm just going to pick the both panels, insert my hook into the both of it. Then just like that, I'm going to pick my slip knot, insert it into the hook, and pull it through the both panels. So just like that. Then I'm just going to chain 1. So I'm going to be attaching with the single crochet stitch. So into that same place, I'm going to go into that same space, that same stitch that I just attached. Go into the both panels, grab a loop from behind. So I have 2 loops. Then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. So that's a single crochet stitch, and I'm just going to be attaching with the single crochet stitch. So I'm just going to match the both. So I'm just making sure that I am matching the stitches on the both panels so that the project will be properly aligned. So that's all you have to do. Make sure you're going into the same stitches on the both panels. So like, just make sure you're matching the both stitches together. so that it will be properly aligned, so it will be straight. And I'm just placing my single crochet stitch right there to attach these both panels together. And I'm just going to keep attaching with the single crochet stitch all the way until I get to the very end. And so I have now gotten to the end. I'm just going to chain one, cut the yarn and tie just to secure the project. So this is what I am having now. This is what my project looks like right now, and I'm going to move on to the next thing. So what I'm going to do next is come to this part and place one single crochet stitch into all of the stitches on this top part. So I'm just going to insert my hook, my yarn, and chain one. Then into that very first row, that first stitch, I'm going to place a single crochet stitch, and into the next stitch a single crochet stitch, into the next stitch a single crochet stitch, and I'll keep placing single crochet stitches all the way. So getting to this point, I'm just going to continue placing single crochet stitches into all of the stitches at the top part there. So this is our cup part, and I'm just going to place single crochet stitches all the way. Alright, so I have come to this end now, and I am going to change colors here. So I'm going to go into that first stitch on the other color, grab the other color, then pull it through the very first stitch and also pull it through the other pink stitch that I have. So I just did a slip stitch. Then I'm just going to continue with the other color, the baby pink color yarn. So I'm just going to continue with the baby pink yarn now, keep placing my single crochet stitch all the way. So one single crochet stitch into all of the stitches. This is me just tying it to secure the yarn that I just attached. Alright, so I'm just going to continue placing one single crochet stitch all the way again until I get to the very end. So you're going to continue that way until you get to the very end. Then the next thing, I'm going to work on the belt or the rope. For this, I'm just going to make chains, and I'm using a bigger crochet hook because I want the chains to be bold. So I'm just going to make a chain that is long enough to tie my top at the back. Then I'm just going to go ahead to insert this chains into the back of the top, just like that. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.